I think we can start.
Okay. So good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for this Zoom meeting entitled Post-COVID-19, a fresh start for tourism in Nigeria. Tourism everywhere in the world is big business, very big business. I'm sure everyone in this meeting understands how much tourism is responsible for the livelihoods of people around the world. It is said that tourism employs 10% of the total workforce around the world. And a lot of countries have continued to make so much out of tourism. Nigeria, on the other hand, we've only depended on an aspect of tourism, and that's business tourism. For our population and for all that we have in terms of our cultural wealth, ecotourism attractions, our very rich history, as well as our cuisines. Naturally, our culture alone, the fact that we have over 200 ethnic groups in Nigeria is something that calls for us to make so much money. Because the number one reason why people travel around the world is because they want to experience something new. They want to see what is it that is different about you. What's your way of life? How do you live? What kind of food do you eat? How do you dress? So many of us travel out of Nigeria, and when you're wearing a Nigerian attire, very often you get so much stares, and for good reason. You know, that's the kind of stare that you always want when you're out of Nigeria. And then sometimes you get one or two people who come to you and say, wow, this is beautiful. What are you wearing? Or how can I get this? Where are you from? You know, over time, we have been known for just violence and 419. And this is a result of the fact that for ourselves, we're not sure of who we are. How do we convince ourselves as Nigerians that we are a beautiful people and that we're not just about violence and 419 and corruption? How do we tell people out there that we have beautiful waterfalls? I mean, the narratives are amazing. Sometime last year, we started a project of enumerating the attractions in Nigeria, and we found out that we have over 50 waterfalls in Nigeria. How many Nigerians know that we have so much? That's waterfalls alone. We're not talking about the myriads of festivals around the world. I mean, from your own village, I'm sure there are beautiful festivals that you know will attract and will keep tourists happy when they visit. I mean, we travel for burials here and there, and we know how much we enjoy that local entertainment. And so today, what we're talking about is how we can drive domestic tourism. The dependence on business tourism will not get us anywhere. Tourism is big business. Dubai, that makes about $30 billion from tourism annually, invests so much in getting people to visit. Here we have an advantage because we have 200 million people who will be able to buy into whatever products we can create. So what are those stumbling blocks? And that's why today we have invited some of the key players in the industry from the 5 different sectors of tourism, and that is transportation, accommodation, recreation and entertainment, and then food and beverages, and finally tourism services. These 5 sectors play a huge role. In fact, one cannot succeed without the other. And for us to drive tourism in Nigeria, we have to ensure that we get these sectors to work together to collaborate. And so we have gotten 6 panelists who represent the different sectors of the tourism industry, and who will be speaking to us, who will be discussing with. We also encourage everyone in the audience to participate, to ask your questions, drop your questions in the chat box, and then let us know how you think we can grow our tourism. I am looking out for, I would kindly crave the indulgence of all the panelists to please raise their hands. Just click the raise your hand button so I can identify you and unmute you. I see Mr. Hassan Zakari is here. I'm just looking out for the other panelists so we can start. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined. I'm sure that it will be a rewarding time. I'm seeing Mr. Wale Ojo-Lanre is here. Galaxy A15. Okay, let me see. Mr. Wale, can you please confirm that I've unmuted you? Yes, yes, definitely. You're welcome, sir.
Have you heard me?
Yes, yes, definitely we can hear you now, but I'm sure you're ready for us. So let me use the opportunity to introduce our panelists. And since we have Mr. Wale here, he's the DG of Ekiti State's Council of Arts and Culture. You don't need any more introduction, seeing the way he's dressed and his courage. He's one of the most passionate persons about domestic tourism that you can find. And we have known him for quite a while, and we have followed how much he has pursued the agenda for domestic tourism. And so you can imagine the excitement we had when he was made DG of Ekiti State's Council of Arts and Culture. And so we'll be learning from him, finding out what Ekiti State is doing and how we can learn and how other states can emulate to grow domestic tourism. We also have Mr. Hassan Zakari. Mr. Hassan Zakari is a tour operator, one of the more experienced tour operators that you can find in Nigeria, who has promoted domestic tourism for a very long time now. I mean, he's one of those persons that I look up to when it comes to domestic tourism. And he's representing the Association of Tourism Practitioners of Nigeria. And so he'll be giving us insights from the tour operators angle. Tour operators are a very, very, very important player in the industry, because even though every part of the body is very useful, they, in conjunction with other parts of the tourism services, are the marketers. I'm sure we know how important marketers are in our business, business development and marketing, as it were, because tour operators create these products and then the travel agents market it. Of course, the DMOs, like we have Mr. Wale here, are in position to make sure that all of the general marketing and policy and framework around tourism is as it should be. Okay, so we'll start whilst we await the other panelists to join us. I'm looking out for them. We'll start with those who are here. And so we'll just break. Please pardon me. I'm not one of those to follow protocol. So I'll just say, everyone who is here, you're VIP, and we acknowledge you. So let us start with Mr. Hassan Zakari. Mr. Hassan Zakari,
okay,
welcome, sir.
Thank you, Efe. You are jumping the gun. I can see some of the panelists are absent. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all those that have joined this Zoom meeting. It is about time we take our destiny in our hands and promote our tourism. Owing to the unfortunate incidents of this COVID-19, it has become imperative that we push our domestic tourism ahead of what we are used to, outbound or international tourism, as most of us know it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the industry of the domestic tourism sector of our dear country is in shambles. How do I mean by in shambles? Most of the tourist attractions that we have, which we all know are so many, are underdeveloped. Most of them don't even have access road to get to the attraction. Most of the communities that own these tourism assets do not even know the value of the assets they are having. And now it's time to look inwards. We as a people and our government has been crying for inflow of foreign exchange. This is the time to diversify from oil and from all that we have been used to grow our domestic tourism. Now, in doing that, as is often said, nothing can be done without proper planning. If you plan to fail, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. In my opinion, to grow our domestic tourism will require a deliberate domestic tourism master plan or strategy policy, including the marketing communication of our various tourism assets. How do we do that? We will need to set up a very cohesive committee and get the tourism destination managers, the destination owners involved in drawing up a very robust and sustainable domestic tourism master plan. And I want to say at this point also that we have a national tourism master plan that has been on the shelf since 2006. And that tourism master plan has identified all the problems, all of the problems we've been discussing prior to COVID-19 and in this COVID-19 season has been identified and recommendations made, solutions profiled in that tourism master plan. But as a people that we are, we don't read and we do not take seriously the one that is not bringing out money immediately. What has been done over the years is to go into the tourism master plan and bring out the one that involves sharing money and implement it. And that's why it has not been working. Now, for us to move ahead, that tourism master plan must be implemented chronologically. Mark that word, chronologically. You cannot jump from A to E, leaving B, C, D. It will not work.
Mr. Hassan. Okay, so I think we may have lost Mr. Hassan, perhaps network issues. So in the meantime, let me quickly introduce my co-host for today's session, Mr. Omololu Olumuyiwa. Mr. Omololu is the president of ANJET, the Association of Nigerian Journalists and Writers of Tourism. And for a very long time, we have been partners and promote tourism in Nigeria. We know how much sacrifice these journalists and writers make to ensure that they put out these stories, even though our environment is not so conducive. So thank you so much, Mr. Omololu, and welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Omololu.
Okay, it's my pleasure to be here this evening. And I'm excited that we are having notable top operators like Mr. Zakari as one of the panelists this evening, including my very good boss, Mr. Wale, Ojo-Lanre, a veteran tourism. Currently, General Manager, you are most welcome, sir. And I'm believing that this evening, we are going to gain a lot from his wealth of experience. Thank you all. And my greetings goes to all the participants. I've seen my co-colleagues, my media colleagues, some tour operators, probably just, okay, let's I forget, there is things for me to recognize. I've cited the NANTA president, President of President Akporiaye. She is one of the panelists for today. You are most welcome. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Omololu. Can I please ask that the panelists raise their hands so that I can unmute them? And whilst they do so, let me, pardon me, we have big masquerades who are listening into this meeting. And so let me start to recognize them. So we have with us representatives from the Nigerian tourism, the NTDC. So we have the DG of the NTDC here in this meeting. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Folorunsho Koka was so happy to have you here with us. Well, we can see as well that we also have the zonal representative for the North Central, Nana Yakubu. Thank you so much for joining us. I can see Captain Ogisi. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. NANTA President, can you please raise your hand so I can unmute you? I'm looking for you now. Okay. Okay, so panelists, I've unmuted you. I'll mute you as I see you. Kindly mute yourselves until you're about to speak, and then mute yourselves when you're done speaking so that we can coordinate. I'd like to then go on to the next panelist. Mr. Omololu, are you there? Okay, so let me quickly go on to NANTA. We have with us the president of NANTA, the National Association of Nigerian Travel Agencies. NANTA is one of the most vibrant associations in the industry today, with a strength of about 6,000 travel agencies, and very, very progressive. I mean, it is one association that we can easily say has been very vibrant. And so we're going to be speaking to the president, the national president, Mrs. Susan Akporiaye. You're welcome, madam. I'll be Madam Susan, please.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening. Can you
Yes.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. It's good to be here and good seeing you again.
Great. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be asking you questions as it fits the discussion concerning collaboration for the industry. And so let me start. I can see that Mr. Hassan is back here with us. You're welcome, sir. Kindly stand by. So, Madam President, we've had 3 months of the lockdown due to COVID-19. And so we're looking to see how we can start again. Thankfully, we have news that in a few days now, from 21st of June, some airports will open up. And hopefully by next month or thereabouts, we should have the international flights and all of that. What are your expectations with IATA and the airlines in terms of how you hope to bounce back, how you hope to work with the airlines and with other sectors of the industry to fast track our recovery? We've lost 3 months, and that's a huge loss. How do we go forward, ma'am?
Well, talking about what to expect from IATA and the airline. I just want to know that the airlines are also in the same boat with the travel agents.
Madam President.
All in the same boat.
Madam President, you're sounding like an alien at this point.
3 months. So from the airlines, they're also trying to look for how they're going to recover, looking at other options of things we can do within the sector that can give us some form of income. It is something that the airline would do per se really bad. Yeah, but we've been talking to them.
Great. So we caught the last part of what you said, but that's fine. We understand that it's a major challenge in Nigeria, our internet network, but we'll have to make do anyways. So if you're there, let me ask you the next question. NANTA is a massive force with over 6,000 agencies in Nigeria. And I know for one that we have helped develop other tourism destinations. I mean, we can easily count these destinations. We contribute so much to Dubai tourism, for example. We help to get Gambia to where it is today. I'm talking about countries that we made so much input. Now, so the question is, we're sending huge numbers to these countries. Why are our travel agencies not selling packages by tour operators in Nigeria? What is missing? How can travel agencies start to collaborate more with other sectors of the tourism industry, especially with tour operators, so that we can start selling destination Nigeria? I mean, if we have 6,000 travel agencies selling any destination, I don't see a reason why Obudu Mountain Resorts would go with less than 90% occupancy at any point in time. Same with most of the other amazing attractions that we have and hotels and resorts, because we have the numbers. So, Madam President, if you're there, please respond. Can you unmute yourself? Great, please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know how much you heard of the first one, but before I start the answer of the second one, I just want to add to what I said the first time on IATA's efforts to assist the travel agency post-COVID. It's trainings. They've come up with a lot of, they did a lot of free training some time ago. The free training is over, but they promise they're going to bring back the free training. So we should all look out for it and tap into that. I think that's their own way of giving back to travel agency this post-COVID. Now, coming to your question on the travel agencies making a lot of destinations peak, you are quite right, because Dubai, as we know, has opened up from 27th of May, and the different DMCs has been sending messages, and they're waiting for Nigeria. They're waiting for us because we are their biggest market. We send most of the passengers down there. So it's not the same without the Nigerian market. It's not the same without the Nigerian travel agencies. Now, why can't we do the same thing for our market? Very good question. I will say it's probably lack of collaboration in time past. That's what I would say. And apart from collaboration, maybe the readiness of most of our tour sites. Our members do do some things. I would not say quite a lot. They try their best, especially UFA. I've been following you and the things you've been doing with the president of ANJET. We're trying our best, actually. We're trying to push, but there's so much discouragement on the home front, if I may use that word. So sometimes when you put these things together and you always hit stumbling block, you get discouraged. But I want to believe with this COVID-19 now, and the fact that NANTA has been talking about looking inwards, and the fact that even our government right now is also trying to talk about looking inwards, is also trying to encourage domestic tourism. If we can do so much in other destinations, I believe if we put our minds to it and we collaborate, very important, collaboration. That's what has been missing, the missing link. Fine, maybe some of our sites are not quite there yet, that where we want them to be, and I still know that there's still quite a lot that are okay. But sometimes, you know, I will put quickly give you a brief definition that I have here about the travel agency. A travel agency is one of the most important organizations in the tourism private sector, which plays a significant and crucial role in the entire process of developing and promoting tourism in the country. You see, as is about the promotion, we are like the channel where this product, like you said, the packages by tour operators, why are NANTA members not selling it? That's why I said, to me, I feel it's collaboration. The tour operators, what do they have? I mean, if you make up the tour package, if you build the tour package, the travel agent is the channel that you sell it through. Now, when you finish building the package, do we know about it? You see, apart from collaboration, the major thing will be marketing. I mean, I was in the NCAC forum last week, Saturday, and there was one thing we all came out from that webinar was that we need to start changing our mode of marketing our destination. They are not well marketed. I mean, a lot of people don't know about it. A typical travel agency in Nigeria can tell you at the back of his hand, even if you just wake him or her up from sleep, about destinations all over the world. But they can say little or nothing about destinations in Nigeria. So it shows we have a very huge gap when it comes to promotion and marketing. These are problems of the past. And I believe with this COVID-19, it's been an eye-opener for everybody. As in, this is the first time in the history of the tourism sector as a whole in Nigeria that I'm seeing travel agencies, tour operators, then even the creative arts sector, of course, the media. I mean, media has always been there for us. So it's not just now, they've always been very supportive, but the media, everybody coming together, and we are beginning to talk for the first time. We are talking. And I believe this is just the beginning of us seeing better days in our tourism sector in Nigeria. We have started well by talking. Now let's continue by identifying these destinations. What is the state of our destinations? The ones that are of standard, which ones are of standard, and how can we promote and market it? How can we make noise about our destination? So we have shown sign that we are willing to collaborate, which is very good. Now the next step, we have to start thinking how the ones that are in good condition. I know people will ask questions. There are a lot of our sites that are not in good condition. I'm very well aware of that, but there are still a lot of them that are in perfect condition. So how do we start with those ones? Those in the marketing aspect also needs to come up at this time too and collaborate with us. Those that their area is in marketing destinations, what I call DMCs. Do we have DMCs in Nigeria? Do we have DMCs in Nigeria? Because DMCs, that's their job. DMCs do not market all tourist destinations. DMCs pick one or two destinations and begin to promote and market it, and begin to talk to the travel agents, begin to talk to the media, begin to talk to tour operators, and we now sit down and begin to market. So do we have DMCs? If we do, where are they? They need to come forth. This is when we need them, so that we can be well aware of those destinations and the ones that are in very good conditions. And even if we are aware of them, what are the packages around them? Where is the packages? So we need to also have this on the table, being put on the table, and then we can now talk about marketing. But we are in a very good position right now, being that traveling outside the country right now is not going to be too interesting. If you look at the rules and regulations, the things you have to go through, like in the UK now, I learned for you to come in, you have to agree to self-isolate for 2 weeks, and some other destinations too. And that is still very discouraging, actually, for people to travel outside the country. Because if I'm going to go and do something for 5 days, I'm talking about having to stay for 3 weeks. So that being said, there's no better time for us to look inwards. And like I said, let the DMCs come out. Let the operators bring out the packages. Let us know what we have. Let the promoters, those in the media sector, the promoters, let them begin to promote it. Let us know what each and every one of us, what we do. Because it's a puzzle. We all have our part to play. We are not competing against each other. We've been operating as if we are competing against each other. But this is the time now for us to know each and every one of our duties and work together to push this side. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam President. And thank you for speaking so passionately. What I have derived is that travel agents are ready to partner with tour operators at this point. So you're saying, bring the packages, we will sell. Now we'll go back to Mr. Hassan. Mr. Hassan, Zakari, that is the challenge to tour operators. Travel agents are saying tour operators are not doing enough. We're not bringing the packages to them. So what is your comment about this? How do you think we can increase what we're doing? We can increase collaboration. We can talk to ourselves more. We can bridge that gap. Please, for the sake of time, would give you 2 minutes to respond to this. Thank you, Mr. Hassan.
All right, thank you very much, Efe. I'm very happy the discussion is going on. Collaboration is key. Collaboration happens with sincerity, with trust. Now, in our case, I have been in this business for upward of 25 years or more. We have more than 60 packages all across Nigeria. They are there, they are available. But you see, when you give someone a package, that's the last you ever hear from the person again. Because we are Nigerians and we know these destinations, I'll write an itinerary and give to a travel agent to sell, but the travel agent will never come to you again. The travel agent goes on to run the show. And that's what part of the challenges we have. Sincerity must be at the forefront of collaboration. That is one. Now, the readiness of these sites is a challenge. Now, who is responsible for making these sites ready? The government and the local communities that have these sites, that they are custodians of these sites. So a collaboration between the government, the tour operator, the travel agent, the restaurants, the hotels, and all the tourism assets in a destination is what we need to move forward. Now, part of the challenge why people are also not moving around in Nigeria is the security. Security, again, is also a major challenge. And who is responsible for that? It is the government. What, again, do we need? Pricing. Are our tours properly priced? You know, we are used to pricing for international destinations. Now, how do we price our tours to entice the local people? Because if you put a tour for somebody to come and spend ₦1 million to go to a destination, he will not come, he will not go. He will rather try to make the arrangement himself and go. So these are some of the challenges we have. And what are the interests of our people in participating in most of the activities we have, like our cultures, our festivals? So many people want to attend. But if I say, come and go to a Durbar in Kano, the first thing you tell me is that there's Boko Haram in the north. So those are the challenges we are facing. Like Susan has rightly said, we need to collaborate with all the agencies, government agencies, the private sector players. Collaboration is key. And collaboration starts with the government. The government is the major driver of this collaboration. Because if I have done a package and I have 20 people coming from Germany, for example, and the immigration denies them visa, we have failed. So there are so many issues, too many issues to be considered in developing domestic tourism. And a major challenge that we are facing, if we must do a SWOT analysis, is that we lack investment in tourism industry due to inconsistent policies. We also don't have, another threat is the limitation of negative global perception. But all these things can be overcome, and we can have a very robust tourism industry. But like I have said, so many fora, is that if we must boost domestic tourism, we must go back to that tourism master plan and implement it as it is. You cannot do, if you are running a business, will you start a business without a business plan? You cannot do a business without a business plan. We don't have a plan. We don't have a coherent policy for growing tourism, whether domestic or international. We must, that is the basis of our takeoff for tourism. We must first of all start by implementing a tourism master plan. That master plan will be your guide. It will guide all the players in the industry. Everybody is identified in that plan. And without that plan, we'll just be talking this grammar, doing seminars, workshops, and we will not go anywhere. Because there must be a direction. There must be a plan. We must have a direction. And that's the only way we can go forward. And in that plan, every other player's duty is identified there. Thank you, Efe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan. So the only thing I've heard is there are challenges, but you're willing to work with our operators. So yes,
Yeah.
there are those issues, but the truth is every destination has its problems. Let's not kid ourselves. There's no destination on earth that is perfect. When you Google the most dangerous cities in the world, no Nigerian city comes in that list. The cities that are on that list are making billions of dollars from tourism every year. Google, I'm not going to mention names, but Google. Now, when you look at countries that have a problem with infrastructure, there are countries that are making so much money and yet they have bad infrastructure. I mean, I was in an African country some time ago when just a few days before Barack Obama visited, and they were patching up their roads, and I was laughing because this is the same thing that we take as an excuse for why we're not growing domestic tourism in Nigeria. So the problem is, yes, so the thing is, yes, there are problems, but we can creatively go and work around this and prefer solutions. So I'm seeing that there are a few hands. I'd like to, at this point, take a question from someone. The Fisayo. Okay, can you please unmute yourself?
Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. For everyone, I'm Fisayo. I'm a travel blogger focused on promoting destinations in Africa. So I have two questions. One, I know we've all spoken about the problems, but I'm always focused on the solution. So instead of always highlighting the problem, which is good for education for those who do not know, my question is, what are the things we can do in terms of development and infrastructure for some destinations that we know that are currently not working? What can we do as stakeholders in the tourism industry instead of always waiting for the government? I know that the government has the bulk of work to do, but if we keep waiting for them, they will wait for a very long time. So my question is, what can we do? Let us strategize about solutions. Let's talk about the solutions. The second question is, yes, in Uganda, I was in Uganda at the beginning of this year, and in terms of pricing, I went to a waterfall called Murchison Waterfall, and I noticed that the price for locals are different from the price for international tourists. So I'm saying this because one of your panelists mentioned earlier that pricing is one of the reasons people get discouraged to explore local tourism. We can, I think yes, this is a government thing that has to be institutionalized, meaning that it has to be a rule that's passed down. But first of all, people need to know that, locals should be given this price, or when we have international tourists, to boost our GDP or to boost the income that tour operator or local gets, then when international tourists come, they should be charged this particular price, and there should be a fixed price if it's a destination. But for a tour operator, I mean, that can be discussed, but I'm just trying to bring this to light. So those are my two questions. So one is a question, one is a contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fisayo. So those two questions, what are the solutions? The reason why we are having this Zoom meeting is so that we can all share ideas. And that's why we said it's a meeting for ideas sharing. And we all have a role to play. Every sector has a role to play, from transport to governments. And I can assure you that there is no, we have the DG of NTDC attending this meeting. That's to show you the importance that is placed on this. We have the DG of Ekiti State Arts and Culture, who are one of the most vibrant states when it comes to tourism at the moment, that I'm sure we can all attest to. So we will get there, but we must start to take those baby steps. We will not be able to become a Dubai overnight, but let's take those baby steps. Let's work at what we can do gradually. So if Mr. Omololu is there, I'd like him to please, at this point, speak to the DG of Ekiti State's Council of Arts and. Or before that, let me quickly say something about the other question about pricing. And permit me, I'm a tour operator first and foremost, so this is where I'm passionate about. So if I tend to want to steal some of the questions from the panelists, please forgive me. concerning pricing, I know that there are around Africa, we have some of the more expensive products. I mean, to do gorilla trekking in Rwanda is $1,500. I use that a lot when I do trainings. That's about
it is more than that.
So that's about 540,000 naira to see gorillas and take selfies with them. You're not taking the gorillas to your house, so it's not going to end up in your pot. But the thing is, it is so expensive, but tourists still do it day in, day out. Now they have developed a model where the community benefits from the proceeds of those of every ticket that is sold, every permit that is sold to see a gorilla. So the stuff is, how do we judge whether our prices are too expensive or whether they are too cheap or they are good enough? The other question is, the other thing is that sometimes pricing can be a factor of demand. And that is why we're really passionate about this partnership with this collaboration with NANTA. Because the more people you have, the more that price will grow, will go down. And let me give you a scenario. More often than not, when tour operator gets requests, they get requests for 1 or 2 people, which means that when you are to go on a tour, a city tour of Lagos, for example, you have to rent a full vehicle. So the customer is paying for a vehicle for that day, which will cost nothing less than 20,000-30,000 naira. That already raises the cost of his trip. Everywhere else in the world, you have tour operators that have those packages, and you can buy a seat into a bus tour. So what it means is that everybody on that bus is splitting the cost of transportation, and then the price goes down. So all of these are factors of demand and supply, and I'm sure collaborations like we are discussing now will help us over time to solve this issue. So we'll be going on to Mr. Omololu now to please speak to the DG of Ekiti State's Council of Arts and Culture. Mr. Omololu, are you there? Mr. Omololu, can you please speak to the DG of Ekiti State's Council of Arts and Culture, Mr. Wale Ojo-Lanre?
Why is it not?
Hello? Hello? Okay, are you there, sir? Okay, so let me go ahead. I think he has network issues. So DG, sir, if you can hear me, I'm coming to you now. You're welcome, sir.
I'm listening.
Great. So let me ask, we're so proud to have you as the DG of Ekiti State's Council of Arts and Culture. And that's because everyone in the tourism industry knows that you are one of our own. And we have always clamored for our own to hold positions in tourism, because we know that the more people who understand tourism, who are in positions, the more change we can get. Because of course, you understand business. So I'll be asking you, and of course, I must also mention that the Commissioner for Tourism is also a wonderful industry stakeholder. So that shows, of course, that Ekiti State is serious about tourism. So let me ask the first question. How is Ekiti planning to promote tourism in the states, particularly from other states in Nigeria?
You see, let me tell you, one of the problems we are having in this country about tourism is that we have been building something big on nothing. If you have been to all these tourism countries, Malaysia, Gambia, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, the first thing they do when they are planning for tourism is to have a legal framework. Nigeria has no legal framework for tourism to blossom. And that is why we are all talking. Every year we are talking. Secondly, there is no special ministry for tourism. Any country that desire to have a blossom tourism industry must have a separate tourism ministry. You have been to a lot of countries and you've seen how everybody, every state, every country has a special tourism ministry for
Hello, DG sir. So this is why we must clamor for 5G. Apparently, we are still using 1G in Nigeria, and so we always have to battle with internet issues. So DG, please, if you can hear me, kindly refresh, and hopefully your network will get back. And so whilst we wait for that, let's see if we have, let's see what questions we have. Now, let me mention at this point, DG mentioned legal framework, that tourism cannot thrive if there is no legal framework. And that is important. I mean, everyone understands the importance of building structures, of building a foundation. And I'm very much aware, and I'm sure majority of us here are aware, that the NTDC has been fighting so much to ensure that there's a legal framework for tourism in Nigeria. And so we'll continue to support the NTDC to do that, because we know that's the role that they can play. Our role as industry stakeholders is to ensure that we play our own parts, so that when that framework is ready, is put in place, then we can easily follow along. I'll be taking, let me take some of the comments from some of the people in the chat room. Please let me recognize the presence of the EFTAN president, Alhaji Saleh Rabo. You're welcome, sir. Thank you so much for making out time out of your very busy schedule. We also have with us Mr. Mohammed Kwajafa from South African Tourism. South African Tourism has been one of those, what do I call them, institutions that has helped to promote tourism in Nigeria. And very strangely too, because sometimes you say that this is about South Africa, but they have done so much to promote destination Nigeria. And that's because they understand that the stronger every country in Africa is with tourism, the better for all of us. And let me give you that, let me give you a scenario. When we had the Ebola crisis, the rest of the world was like, don't go to Africa, there's Ebola. So whether you had Ebola or not, I mean, it was just Nigeria and a few other countries, but I'm sure the numbers in South Africa went down because there was Ebola here. And so South Africa has continued to promote destination Africa, as it were. And seeing that we have the Africa Continental Free Trade area, as well as the Single Air Africa Travel Market, those policies will ensure that over time, Africa becomes a domestic market. What it means that the billions of Africans will be able to travel from one city in Africa to the other. And that is why we must continue to help and ensure that every single destination or city in Africa promotes or grows their domestic tourism. Mr. Michael Balogun is saying that how come NANTA doesn't insist that airlines have Nigerian tourism magazines as part of their in-flight entertainment? Even from our airports, both local and international should have a strong presence in our airports. So he's saying that it's about time that airlines start to have content about Nigeria in their magazines. I know a number of airlines have some of this content, but I'm sure that they can do more. So, Madam President, please take notes. We'll come back to you to talk about that. We'd like to acknowledge the organizer of the Pine Awards, Mrs. Amaka Amatoku, who has been making us proud with recognizing outstanding players in the tourism industry. I mean, when you attend the Pine Awards, it tells you how far we've come and that we're committed to growing tourism. Okay, we have another comment from Mr. CK Knight saying, can we do this without government? If no, how can we get the government to implement? If yes, how can we start? So I'd like to say that we're starting now. We have NTDC here, we have a number of other government, public sector persons who are here. And so it shows that we're ready to start. All that we need to do now is to make sure that it goes beyond just talking here on this Zoom meeting to actually practicalizing the things that we say. It means that from henceforth, those who are serious about tour operation should be speaking to NANTA, whether via the office of the president or through other channels to showcase the products that they have. It means that they should be speaking more to NTDC about opportunities in some of these destinations that we can tap into. It means that we should be speaking more to the hoteliers. Mr. Brian Effa from Ibom Hotel is here with us. He'll be speaking to us shortly about how the hoteliers are willing to partner with tour operators and travel agents. And we believe that the president of HOFA should also be on this meeting. I'm trying to find out if he's here already, but we're glad to know that these are strong associations that are willing to push this narrative about tourism in Nigeria and willing to help help the process of collaboration. Okay, at this point, can we please go to Mr. Brian? Whilst we expect the DG of Ekiti State Council of Arts and Culture to come back on, let's go to Mr. Brian Effa from Ibom Hotel and Golf Resorts. Mr. Brian, if you're there, I think I've unmuted you. Kindly unmute yourself, please.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Brian. Thank you so much for making our time to join us this evening. So,
yes, my for joining late. I've been having serious network issues, but I'm glad to be here.
We're glad that you're here, sir. So Ibom Hotel and Golf Resort is one of the most beautiful resorts in Africa. I mean, I can testify. having stayed there a number of times. But then even the best of the best are affected by the pandemic. So considering all of the restrictions and all of that, and how is your resort trying to mitigate the impact of the pandemic? I mean, what actions are you taking to see that you're also ready once the state borders are open and tourists can start to travel around?
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to start with the impact that this has created on our business. For the kind of hotels that we have, and the way it was built and designed, whether you have guests or not, you need to keep the power going. And this costs a lot of money, so, and then you have the staff you need to keep cleaning the place and all of that. So before you know it, even without a single revenue, you still incur cost around, not that you still incur some cost. Now for us as a hotel, you know that this pandemic has created or changed the way we do our business and the way we do our operations. So for our hotel, in terms of getting to ourselves ready, we first of all we have rewritten our
Mr. Brian, we're losing you. I'd like to suggest that you can put off your video and perhaps you then have you then be able to communicate with less bandwidth. Kindly put off your video, Mr. Brian. Mr. Brian, are you there? Hello? Okay, so we have to also battle the internet thing. Let me take some comments whilst we wait for Mr. Brian. I have, so there's a comment from SOA Vibes. I'm sure that's Mr. Sahid, who is saying that how can the diaspora committee align with your efforts, working closely with NIDCOM and NIDO. So NIDO is the Nigerians in Diaspora organization. And of course, that is a very strong market for us in Nigeria that we can easily tap into, because we're talking about Nigerians, some of whom have not been home for a very long time and who will naturally still have the love for their country. And this is a huge market. In fact, the global trend is the Africa DNA thing. I'm sure a lot of us would have heard about how Black Americans or Blacks everywhere in the world spend money to take their DNA and find out where they actually come from. Because of course, many years ago, slaves were sold from Africa. And so people are beginning to want to find their origin. I know that is a huge market that we can tap into. And going forward, hopefully the next meeting will be considering those kind of collaborations that the Nigerian tourism sector can put in place with our diaspora to ensure that we get Nigerians enjoying our tourism. I think we have I think we have the DG of Ekiti State's Council of Arts and Culture back. Okay, so let's come back to you, sir.
So what I'm really saying is that for us to talk about tourism in Nigeria and for the tourism to survive and to blossom well, we need a government who has the gut and the will to pursue tourism as an economic aspect of the country. We need a separate industry, a separate ministry for the tourism sector. Then we need a legal framework. Every one of us in this tourism, we are just doing something that's not legal. There's no legal framework for the tourism sector. NTDC is operating on an archaic military decree, what we call it, a bill. An attempt was made 2009 to renew the bill, but it was truncated by members of the practitioners. Some of the practitioners now conspire against the bill to survive. Now, those have been 55 years without a legal backing. All of these associations, how many of them have legal backing? None. You cannot build something or nothing. You have been building something or nothing. And that is why in Ekiti State, the government of Ekiti State knows what it means to have a legal framework for any industry. Governor Fayemi, be a cosmopolitan and educated military person, do that for anything to germinate, an economy to germinate, which will lay the legal framework which regulate the country, the sector, where both practitioners, public and private, we know their limits, what to do, what to expect. And this is what we have done in Ekiti. This is what the government of Ekiti has been able to lay down. We have a bill now, ready to be assented to by the governor of Ekiti State, so that there will be a seamless tourism business enterprise in Ekiti, whereby stakeholders like you can come to Ekiti in a day, register your business, know the authority to talk to without paying any extra taxes or diversion. This is what Ekiti State governor has been doing and we are still doing. For us, Ekiti is a paragon of tourism. We have the only cold and warm spring or resort is in Ekiti State. Culturally, the house of FIFA, the home of FIFA, Ogun, and Oshun from Ekiti State. We have the most, Ekiti is the only state where you can hike, the best, and maybe the second state where you can have this mountain hike. We have all those things. So, but the first thing for us to do, which the governor asked us to do, is to have a law, regulatory framework, whereby all of us will be able to know where to go, what to do, our limits and the expectation, both from the government, from the practitioner, and even from the student and the culture sector.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wale. So I would like to ask you, how is your agency and the Ministry of Tourism in Ekiti State looking to collaborate with the 5 sectors of tourism in Nigeria to drive tourism?
Let me tell you, we have the understanding that all the 5 sectors, for you to have a blossom tourism sector, all the 5 sectors must be in a synergy, a purposeful synergy, a buoyant synergy. And that is why you have to work and elicit the support from the sector. The hotel associations, Nigerian Union of Road Transport Workers, NANTA, EFTA, all of these associations have a peculiar relationship with us. Very soon in Ekiti, we are going to launch the chapter of EFTA, Federation of Tourism Association, because there's no way you want to sell tourism in any state without all these sectorial groups having a say in the economy. So we are engaging all the sector. We have talked with EFTA and Olumoko. We've come in after this lockdown. Olumoko will be with us. NATO people will be with us. We are here to get with NANTA. And with our discussion today, I'm going to talk with the NANTA woman. So Ekiti is ready. We are preparing for post-COVID tourism economic buoyancy. So you are all welcome to Ekiti State.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wale Ojo-Lanre. So tour operators, hoteliers, everyone out there, I'm sure you heard the message loud and clear. Ekiti State is ready and willing.
And another, excuse me, and another message we are telling is that We want investors to come and invest. Ekiti is still virgin. The government is going to produce, is providing a conducive economic atmosphere. We will generate traffic for you. We have a method of generating traffic. Come and invest in Ekiti State. We have the Fajuyi Park. We have one of the best fascinating waterfall in Nigeria. Ikole Lora waterfall. Efetobo, you have been there. And we have the best amusement park in the southwest. You have the best, you have been there now. You have the best amusement park in the southwest. So we have the cultural aspect of Ekiti. All the southwest is in Ekiti. Come and invest. Come and put your money. There is law for you. There is a law. We have a regulatory law now. We have the government who is seeking for investors and who is tourism friendly. So you are welcome to Ekiti. Come and invest in Ekiti.
Thank you very much. So we'll definitely hit that call because we see that Ekiti is actually serious about tourism. And I know for certain that Ekiti has one of the most brilliant, most beautiful sceneries that you can get. Wonderful landscapes that would be great for resorts and all the like. And so I know I've mentioned earlier that the DG of NTDC has been championing the cause of the legal framework for tourism in Nigeria, and he's here with us.
My brother. The cause of championing legal framework is all it should be all our effort. It is our task.
We have
because one, if you have a very good legal framework, the NTDC will not overstep its bank. NANTA will not overstep its bank. NANTA will not overstep its bank. Every stakeholder we know where we have to do what we have to do. It's not only his effort.
Definitely. That's the reason why we need the framework. I know the DG has said he only wants to sit in and observe, and of course take note of the ideas and suggestions. But I don't know if I can crave your indulgence, sir, to talk about this legal framework.
Have I been unmuted?
Yes.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for allowing me.
Did you respect?
Thank you, Efetobo, and everybody who put this together for allowing me to come onto this platform to speak to you. I think, at least for the organizers of this event, you are aware that we have consistently, I mean, at NTDC, apart from the legal framework that we've been producing or trying to get out of the legislature, you cannot build, let me just take you through a quick sequence. Without the legal framework, there'll be no oil industry, there'll be no telecom industry, there'll be no banking industry.
God bless you. God bless you. There'll be no.
People will not invest in you or in your country in tourism simply because they cannot see how they put the money in, what their rights are, and how it comes out. Mr. DG Ekiti Nondo, Mr. Ojo and I have had many conversations, including yourself, Efetobo, that without a legal framework, we have a problem. Now, the problem is very acute now, because if you don't change that legal framework, a lot of things will not happen. Hang on. This is a very bad period, but it presents incredible opportunities in every sphere of tourism. And we need to see the positive and stop looking at provision by government, because government isn't able to provide it. If they could provide it, they'd have provided it a long time ago. Now, in 2015, we came up with a simple structure that we need to change the legal framework. Without a legal framework, there's no growth. We needed to look at the human capital resources required. Right now, in every aspect, from hoteliers to transporters to airports to airlines, everybody needs a new skill with COVID compliance. Everybody needs a new skill sorry, we were not having Zoom meetings a year ago. Everybody needs to bring technology, artificial intelligence into this business very quickly. Let me just even run through something, simple thing. I would go from Lagos, Abuja to Lagos, Lagos to Abuja without thinking about it. But now I will think about my arrival at the airport. Am I safe? Check-in lines, the security lines, the boarding lines, the disembarking lines, the immigration, if it's international, the customs, if it's international, baggage claim, taxi, all those things need to be amended for COVID. That has to be funded. That is where government should and will come in to change those critical infrastructures. It's the fanciest hotel right now is not selling fancy, it's selling safety. Room service, how do you do it in COVID? Bed sheets, how do you do it in COVID? Can your spa operate? Can your massage parlor operate? A buffet is a thing of the past in COVID times. Now, we talk about infrastructure in terms of the infrastructure of the country. Let us focus on tourism infrastructure.
We seem to have lost DG. Okay, we seem to have lost the DG. Can we go to comments and questions? I'd like to take the question of Mr. Mark Moore from Motley Travels, one of the most vibrant tour operators you can find in Nigeria. And he's saying 6,000 travel agents are enough to make noise and arouse interest in domestic tourism. The big question is how many travel agents are really interested in selling Nigeria? We have to get ourselves to value what we have and generate internal value for what we have to sell. I can assure you that the NANTA president is here and she has confirmed that right now the travel agents will be waiting for us to bring their packages to them and that they will surely sell. And in any case, let me say this, no travel agent at this point even has an option because international travel will not pick up till 2021. And travel agents must survive. They must sell something. So now is the time for tour operators to put up those packages and sell it to them. It's a simple channel that works everywhere in the world. Hoteliers have their special rates for tour operators. Tour operators have their special rates for travel agents. Every sector leaves that room for every other player in the industry to be able to make some income. And that's how the industry grows. So I'm asking tour operators at this point in time now too, are you also creating that margin for travel agents when you make your packages? Because of course we know that one of the problems that we have is that because it's an easy entry industry, you have people who do not understand the business fully, who then start up a tourism operation business or something. And sometimes we find out that in the past we have interacted with a few of them who do not create those margins to sell. So if you're creating a product and you don't have a margin for the travel agents to sell with, to make a commission, nobody will put out their resources to market your product for free. So let's see what other. Mr. Brian, are you here now? Mr. Brian, can you please?
Yes, yeah, you needed to,
Okay, I muted you. So sorry about that. Just trying to ensure that we keep some level of control for interferences. So if you can hear me, let me go straight to the other question. Are you there, sir? Hello, Mr. Brian. Hello, Mr. Brian. Okay, whilst we wait for Mr. Brian, let's quickly go to one of the other panelists. And I'm sure you can see a big grin on my face because this panelist is one who has been very supportive of Nigeria Travel Week. And in fact, even before Nigeria Travel Week, every project I have done since 2003, when I first met him. Today, he's the chairperson of the Creative Industry and Tourism committee set up by the federal government, and is also on that one set up by Lagos. And I'm talking about Mr. Atunyota Akpobome, popularly known as Alibaba. Bros, are you there, Migosa?
Hello.
We can hear you, sir. Migo.
Okay, you can hear me. How are you doing? I've been on location. I've been shooting some promotional materials for the COVID-19 project, and that is what has been done. I thought that we're going to finish very early, and it then ran all the way to now. And so I hope you guys are doing very well. How has it gone?
It has gone very fine, sir. We're glad to have you now.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So let me quickly shoot to my questions for you.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
The recreation and entertainment sector is a very crucial one as it determines whether tourists get to enjoy their stay in the destination, whether they will return tomorrow, or whether they will even go about spreading word of mouth publicity for that destination. Looking at Nigeria, do you think we have good enough content, good enough attractions, whether it is museums, whether it is nature and amusement parks, whether it is even events and festivals that can make Nigerians, not even international tourists now, Nigerians travel around Nigeria?
Okay, the first thing that I will say is that most of our festivals are still in the rudimentary stage. They've not been, the potentials for commercialization have not been activated for a lot of our festivals. If you notice, most of our festivals are just still as it were 100, 200, 2,000 years ago. What we need to do is to begin to look at the commercial angle of most of our festivals and begin to look at the value propositions that they have and activate those value propositions for them to really attract people. Now, there's nearly everything that we need. The desert is where you then lead your camels. What have we done with the desert that we have? I I will come to it because anytime you begin to mention the tourism potentials and why they are not activated, the first thing people jump to is security. But I'll come to that later. We need to even know the potentials of those things that we have. What you need to build a content around what you have for people to be attracted to it. As they say, if you do not turn the talent that you have into service that people buy into, nobody will take advantage of what you have. It will just become like what God said, Moses, what is in your hand? Moses was holding a rod, didn't know the power that the rod had. So what you need to do is to actually activate those potentials that you have in any sector that you have for people to come to it. I'll give you one example. If we have water in Bayelsa and you do not harness that water to the point where you have a swimming competition, international swimming competition every time, you can't blame anybody for it. You have the water, you have the potential in your people. Look at what is happening to Kenya. Kenyans and the East Africans have dominated long distance races because of the kind of area that they have and the topography that they have. They've dominated that area. If you look at Cuba, Cuba have people with very strong bones and short people, but they've dominated the amateur boxing area and they've held that down for a long time. What is it that we have in Nigeria that we can build our potentials around? Now, Ondo State, Ondo, Osun, and Ekiti, they are known for mountainous regions. How much of those mountainous regions have we? How much of those mountainous regions have we taken advantage of to build tourism and create an awareness to even make people come into Nigeria to just take benefit of that? I'll give you another. We have Zuma Rock. The Zuma Rock that we have, you can't get two of it in Nigeria. How many t-shirts have you seen that is sold that has Zuma Rock on it? What is the potential of Zuma Rock that we've taken advantage of? Some 2012. No, 2012. When did this man leave office? 2006. I made a proposition to the governor of Benue State then. And I said, sir, is it possible for us to take advantage of this black and white thing that is in your state and make it international? Let's get some zebras into Benue State. We'll breed them. Let's say we breed like, we'll get about like 10 zebras into Benue State and get like 6 or 7 bulls to bring in. And those ones will continue to breed. And between that time and now, do you know how many zebras you would have had in Benue State that will propagate the black and white identity that the Benue State is known for? So you can organize a black and white festival. You can have a chess board game that will be black and white. You can have a lot of things. And then you have t-shirts that just has the zebra colors on it. And you can begin to build value out of that thing that you already have. But you see, we do not know how to do those kind of things. All we know how to do is take from somewhere, sell it, and use the money. That's all. We do not know how to add value to the things that we have, which is what is the problem. Now, look at it. We have oil. How much value have we added to oil? We now sell the oil because we can't refine it ourselves. We sell our timber because we can't refine the timber ourselves. What I'm trying to say is that we do not know how to add value to the things that we have. The problem of adding value to the things we have is the biggest problem we have. All we know how to do is sell as we have it and enjoy the money and then continue to wait for the next one. It is a one-off mentality. That one-off mentality is why we do not have existing things that will grow us. And I'll give you an example. Let's look at, you see the Eiffel Towers now. Eiffel Towers is driving the business and economy of Paris. The Eiffel Towers is bringing people to Paris, not because of the Eiffel Towers alone, but people are coming to the Eiffel Towers, and when they come to the Eiffel Tower, they will use taxis, they will eat in restaurants, they will do shopping, they will stay in hotels, they will go out and see all the tourist attractions that are in town, apart from the Eiffel Towers. Some people even decide to stay in Paris because of the Eiffel Towers. the prices of hotels in around the environs of the Eiffel Towers are more expensive than hotels that are far from it. There are people who are taxi drivers in Paris because of the Eiffel Towers. So what I'm trying to say is we have become a society that do not add value to anything, but expect the thing itself to add value. And
okay, I can come in. I can come inside now. Don't worry, let me come in.
In times where people now want to, hello?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. When people now decide that they want to come and help us harness those talents that we have, or help us build. I think, moderator, there are so many voices that are on. People's microphones are on. I can't hear.
I've muted them now, sir.
Okay, so that is what then happens. What I'm trying to get at is that there's so much more in this country that we can do. Argungu Festival should have been pushed up to the point where it is on international calendars. It's on international calendars. But what we still have is Argungu Festival is still as rudimental as it was before. It is only now that a co-festival, your festival is being pushed up to have international appeal. Now, we brought marathon. Marathon was not part of Nigeria before, but we brought marathon and it's growing. The way marathon is growing is the same way other aspects of sports in Nigeria should grow. We have water. Lagos is called the aquatic state, you know? But what is the value of that designation? That means Lagos has aquatic environment, but do we have, no, I have two friends who come from South Africa to do deep sea diving here. And they say that our water reef, that under our water has the best that they've seen anywhere because it has not been tampered with. People have not gone down there. We all live above ground. Nigeria is hard for us to even build any underground tunnel because we're not like that. If you ask a Nigerian, if you give him a piece of land, the first thing he wants to do is to build 4 flats on top of it, bungalow. Once you begin to talk about going up to 7th floor, 8th floor, 10th floor, we don't know how to do that kind of thing, which is why we do not even build places with a mind of car park, first of all. When we see land, it's just to build houses on top of it, maximize everything. Then it is after you built it that someone will now say, where would the people who live in it park? We need to begin to think for future. We need to begin to think for future reasons. I'll get to some things. If you notice, there are several things that show that there are some small things that you use to grow your tourism. When you go to a shopping mall in South Africa, you see the statue of Mandela and you take pictures and you post it. Do you know what you've done? You become a marketer for South Africa. What are the things in Nigeria that you can stand and take pictures with? They put it somewhere that you cannot reach. Then when we build any statue that you can take pictures with and post so that people know that this thing, police will arrest you. Somewhere like National Theatre, go there and shoot a video, they will arrest you. But in other places, they even welcome people to come and take those pictures because when you put it online, people get to know what you have. But you see, the thing is that our tourism structure and our master plan of tourism has not been properly has not been properly defined. We have not, and I repeat in this country, we have not looked at tourism as an earning sector. We have not looked at tourism as saying, okay, tourism is going to bring us $62 billion this year. Let's work towards achieving that. We have not. What we have been doing is letting it just flow. It has been selling itself. We have just been selling ourselves. Look at, let me tell you something. Back in the day, this is something that I found out like 4 months ago. Nigeria, that is Kano, used to be the hub for changing camels. That is the camel terminal in the whole of Africa was Kano. Kano was the camel terminal. What is a camel terminal? It's like a hub for planes. They land there, refuel, and then fly to other places. You know why what was happening? People will come with camels from the Mediterranean. So from Libya, from Egypt, even further than that, from Syria, from Ethiopia, and all of that. When they get to Kano, That is when they change the camel, because the camel you brought from any other place can't go back if they are too tired. So you look for another camel from Kano and take it back to Kano, to any place that you came from. That is how, if you look at the coat of arms of Kano, they have 2 camels on it. The coat of arms of Kano, they have 2 camels. By the way, Kano also have a dying pit. Do you know why they had dying pit? If you come across a desert and travel all the way during the Trans-Sahara Desert, by the time you land, any clothes you are wearing become faded because of the sun. And if you want to still be looking good, the Kano pits will dye it back to the color that you had before you came back from before you go back to where you came. You see, what it meant was that Kano was not just a hub, and it had scholars. People were coming from Timbuktu to Kano. Usman Danfodio used to send his clothes from Kano, from Sokoto to Kano to be dyed. And his people will come with horses, take the clothes back to Sokoto. But you see, all of that has died. Kano pits are not even recognized as much as tourism points. We have the first oil well in Logobiri. Do you know that that place is not even celebrated? Meanwhile, the money that comes from this place should be tied to that kind of place. You should build a place where people come there to take pictures. All students of petroleum engineering should be going to that kind of place and taking pictures. But you have to build the tourism capacity. You do not just you want to benefit from tourism capacity that you did not build, which is something that's happening with Hollywood. Nollywood was built not by government. Comedy was built not by government. But government now wants to take advantage of it because quickly, a lot of people will say, oh, tourism is very big. The government should give money to tourism. You know, another thing that you will now look at is somebody will be like, okay, tourism is very big. How much has tourism contributed to the Nigerian economy? Don't forget that tourism on its own is an umbrella sector. It is not as a let alone because it is other sectors working actively that drive the economy of tourism. So hotels have to work well. Restaurants have to work well. The transport system has to work well. The aviation sector has to be okay. Security has to be okay. The galleries have to be okay. The artists have to work well for tourism to thrive. But you see, the problem is we do not do anything to make sure that all those factors work well so that tourism will make a lot of money. All we do is we just expect tourism to begin to bring the money like that, Sha. You go overseas. Let's just use Dubai. You go to Dubai, and people are saying, "Oh, we want this place to be like Dubai." What is the security apparatus? There are some governors in Nigeria who will tell you every time it is holiday period, they travel to so and so place, and you actually can see the governor walking on the streets. You bump into them on Oxford Street, you bump into them on Edgware Road, you bump into them on the streets of Paris. They walk free, just them, their wife, and maybe one other aide. No plenty security. You know why? Because there are cameras everywhere. Those are the things that help tourism thrive. When people know that security has been considered and people are benefiting from it, that is what makes tourism thrive. So what I would say is there's need for us to do a lot more to make our tourism active. I'll give you this and then rest. You see, once in a while, you have to think about the things that actually can drive tourism. One thing alone that can even pull the tourism that we have strong here in this country is the National Theatre. Because the National Theatre can tie in all tourism factors and begin to push people to different places. We do not have edifices that you can put on postcards and sell, because to maintain those edifices too is a big problem for us. As you know, the way TBS is, there used to be a race course in this country. There used to be a race course that white people will run their horses and all of that stuff. It is now a cricket pitch. All right? Now, it's a cricket pitch. You have a polo club. The polo club, the size of the polo club is bigger than as many polo clubs as you can think of. It's in the heart of town. How many of our people play polo? So it's elitist. if you want to build tourism, you build tourism that you don't depend on it as elitist. If it is elitist, it does not bring the volume of people as it should. You built a stadium in Uyo. The stadium you built in Uyo, how much of tourism does it bring to the state? What benefit is it to the state? We know people who play matches. How many times do they play matches? The only times you benefit from a stadium like that if it's in England and it's part of the Premiership, because a club will take it as their home. And you'll be making money from from tickets, you'll be making money from adverts, you'll be making money from transmission of the football match and all of that. What are they benefiting from the stadium in Uyo? So you could as well have built a port. If you built a port in Uyo with the money you used to build that stadium, it would have drawn a lot of people to Uyo and increased the economy of the state. What the other thing why I mentioned that is that our people do not think about the value proposition of anything before they do it, and they don't see beyond the cash that comes from oil. And because they don't see beyond the cash that comes from oil, they do not know the value of sports to tourism. So they organize a competition or something, and everybody makes noise about it. As soon as that competition is over, they've forgotten about it because the people that organized it, first of all, wanted to make money for themselves while organizing it. It is not because they wanted to, it's for personal reasons. It's not because they did it. You know, it's not because they wanted to do it to develop the sector or to make the sportsmen better. No, they did it because they wanted to make money. It's like the National Theatre. It was not built because government built it to develop art and tourism. No, government built it to tell the world that you excommunicated us because we're a military regime. We have money, we'll build this, and we'll organize the second festival of art and of art and culture. That is why after the National Theatre was built, and they had achieved their aim of showing off that we have money, we can do anything we want to do, it ended. So now again, people are saying, no, do this, do this. You know the reason people are even thinking of it now? If oil was still selling at $170 or $140 per barrel, nobody will be thinking of tourism.
Thank God for COVID-19.
Nobody will be thinking of that. All our leaders see is take the money, share it, and everybody moves on. But you see, the biggest problem we have is that we have a sector that is not growing. Look at fashion. Fashion is part of the tourism industry. Our textile mills are folded up. Back in the days, you had quality material and lace materials from all our textile companies. In all, let me just say that we are not ready for tourism in this country if we do not have a template and a master plan that we should follow. And that's my submission.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. The next question will be concerning narratives. Now, we know that the creative industry is a major tool in creating narratives. When we watch Hollywood movies, you'll always see that the US always wins in every battle. The US president is never ever killed in a battle. So Nollywood portrays the US as the strongest country in the world. And we know that it is not by chance. When you see South Africa is promoted as an adventure and outdoor destination. When you look at Kenya, it is promoted as the magical country where you get to enjoy the best of wildlife. How can we tap into the creative industry in Nigeria to start to create a narrative for Nigerian tourism?
Okay, first of all, the thing is that our tourism, our creative sector responds to the society. There are some movies that you make in this country and you portray Nigeria as the best country in the world, and people will know that you are lying. Because your movie is going to be a response to the society that you are in. What is happening in the society? So when you watch a movie in Nigeria and people actually show you the people going to see Babalawo and going to see some native doctor and all of that, that is something that is in play. The level of education of a people also reflects in their movies as well. I'll give you Let me give you one example. You see, now when you are shooting a movie in America, and your movie is about summer, and it starts to snow, they leave America and go to places like Namibia, go to places like South Africa to continue shooting that American movie because the weather is okay, and they want to have that, they just continue shooting so that it doesn't stop them. They just continue shooting because they don't have snow. You see, you do not have that in Nigeria. We have a culture in Nigeria here. If you bring cameras out and start shooting in one place, there are 4 or 5 guys that will come and say you must pay. But you see, government will not do anything about it. In fact, if you go there with some policemen, the policemen will say, find something for them. And you are shooting a movie. So the thing is that it is clear. In this same country, Paul McCartney came to record his album, came to record his album.
Yeah.
His musical equipment was stolen at the airport. He didn't find the musical equipment till he went back. How do you sell the history of your country? If somebody then goes, now they shot a movie, and in the movie it was Bella Ciao, Money Heist. They used Nigerian currency. Meanwhile, they shot in Spain, but Nigerian currency was used to depict stolen money in the movie because of the people that we are. A tree does not fall far from the, a fruit does not fall far from the tree. But you see, it is the same thing with us. We have so many people that are giving us bad image, and government is not doing anything about it. Can you see the amount of money that is coming back from Abacha? So when you now tell somebody that, can Nigerian government go and fight now and say, why are you saying that Nigeria is the capital of corruption? They'll say, how much money has Abacha returned? What will you say? You see, it is that the system is actually a reflection. Whatever the narratives are, it's a reflection of what the people are or what the government is. When those that you are mentioning, the movies where Sylvester Stallone is killing 300 people, the Navy SEALs are killing 800 people and rescuing people from all this, because it can happen. You see what they did to Osama bin Laden. It can happen. But in Nigeria, your people are being killed in the northern region. Nothing is being done. Your police are shooting people. Nothing is being done. The big men are taking over this thing. So you see, money is voted for something and the money is not being used for this thing. Corruption is in our system. What do you want to do about that? We have a legal system that is not strong enough and is not making us look better. It's not, you can't, it is the reality. It is the reality. So now somebody has asked that, what is the way forward? This is it. First of all, you need to go back to where every state begins to make money for themselves. The problem we have is that we all believe that the money from oil should take care of everybody in the world, in the state, in the country. And what that does is that it makes some people not even work. It's like a polygamous man that has 4 wives, and one of the wives is working. So she earns about like 300,000, and she brings the 300,000 and gives to the man every month. The man will take out of that 3,000 and spread to all the other 3 wives that are not working. So every month, the women will take the money the husband has given to them and give to their children. And this continues every month. But you see, if that woman now stops earning money, everybody will go broke. So the women, the other 3 wives, instead of them to decide on looking for their own investment and developing internally generated revenue, should in fact, if they don't stop looking for that federal government money that keeps coming, they won't do anything. You have deserts, the same desert that Dubai is making money from. You have it in Sokoto. You are not doing anything about it. And when the federal allocation comes, you collect your money from oil. You collect your money from taxes that are drawn on alcohol. You spend it. You collect money that is drawn on hotels and all the other places and taxes that are paid from all those places. And you spend it in your state. But when they say they want to come and do something in your state that will make the culture grow. You say, no, our religion does not allow it. They brought Miss World to Nigeria. You people fought against it. No, we cannot do this. Okay, Miss World left. How do you grow tourism? If your religion is continuously, how are we preaching more? We're becoming more Christian than the Pope. Saudi Arabia is welcoming people to grow their economy. So people are coming to spend money in Saudi, which is a Muslim state. But you, in your own state, you are not even making 1 naira, but you are driving everybody from it. Oh, no, they can't do this one. No, they can't do that one. No, they can't do this one. They can't do it. But when the money from other places that are doing it is shared, you take it and spend it. My point is the need for all states to begin to do internally generated, to face their internally generated revenue. And from that internally generated revenue, you then pay something to federal government. That is the only way we can begin to make things work. That is the only way. Because right now, the way it's going, if oil becomes $2 per barrel, a lot of states will go broke. All the states that were fighting. So I mentioned, I'm talking about the solutions now. The first solution is we should we should change the constitution that makes it possible for somebody to send 3 senators to federal house. And the 3 senators will be paid for from money from the oil sector. Meanwhile, your state is not bringing anything. So you send people to be paid. Your state is not bringing anything, but your state is still collecting from federal government. Your state is not bringing anything to fund the police force, but your state is getting some police to protect it. But meanwhile, state is not generating as much. You have federal officers that are on the federal workforce and civil service. They are getting their salaries paid, but they are not making any money. The bottom line is we need to begin to rejig our constitution so that a state that does not make 10 billion should not be proposing a budget of 20 billion. You can't make the money. Why are you projecting the money? Because you know that the money is going to come from other parts of the country. All these states that are agitating, all these people in some ethnic sectors that are agitating for creation of their own state, they know because if the state is created, federal government will fund their state. If the state is not going to be funded by federal government, you will see some states that will be merging with other states. Because they will pack up. You can't survive. Look at Jigawa, look at Gombe, Yobe. What are they bringing to the table? But the thing is that they still, and the Gombe governor will drive the kind of car that the governor of Rivers State is driving. The governor of Gombe and the governor of Yobe will be sending people to Mecca. Meanwhile, it didn't earn that money.
Okay, bros, because of time, let's quickly ask you the last question. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left, but I guess what we'll do is subsequently we'll have to create more time for this kind of engagements. The last question, which is one that is very dear to me, is that you personally, you have been very instrumental. In fact, you have almost single-handedly built a strong comedy industry by mentoring upcoming comedians and fostering collaboration in the comedy industry. I mean, I know how many times I've visited you in the office and I see an array of comedians in your office from young to old. How can the entire tourism industry learn from and take advantage of mentoring so that it is not like we have here where you have one clique is fighting the other, some old people are not letting the others grow. How do you think we can get the tourism industry to learn from your industry in just 2 minutes, sir?
One is about structure. You have to get structure. You have to get structure and you have to define the purpose of structure and the purpose of each of the sectors and subsectors. So one thing is that if the value propositions of those places are not harnessed and begins to grow, people will not come into it and people will not invest in it. You can see that fashion has begun to pick up greatly in Nigeria. One is people wear clothes. Then the other thing that is driving it is Instagram. So celebrities can't wear clothes twice. So they have to buy a lot more clothes. GTB is organizing a fashion fair every now and then. Harbour Point is organizing fashion fair. So we're a status-driven society, and the status-driven society, people want to look good and dress well all the time. That means the value proposition of fashion has grown. But that has not happened with the culinary services. Apart from hotels, nobody thinks that chefs should be great people or people that should earn as much as they should earn. But what I'm saying is, what we did with comedy is that we took it from talents to service. We're providing service at different events, and people saw the value of that service. And because they saw the value of the service, we grew. More so, the marketing was there. You had to market yourself and grow. And really, if you apply, this is not enough time to describe what we did in the comedy sector. But I'll just say that we went professional and we gave value proposition that people bought into. And that's why we succeeded. And that should be tried in every sector.
Thank you so much, Alibaba. We've enjoyed your we've enjoyed your inputs, and we hope that we'll continue to get support from you as we go ahead with engagements like this, and more importantly, action to promote tourism in Nigeria. I see that the DG is back, DG of NTDC. We lost him earlier on, but I'll quickly check to see if he's around. And then the president of EFTAN, if he's also around, I'd like him to also make a brief statement. So let me see which of them is available now. Okay, let me start with the comments from the DG before we go to the president of EFTAN. DG was speaking to us earlier on. DG, sir, if you are there, can you please?
Yes, sorry. There's a massive storm and the bridge broke down. There is nothing we need to do that we don't already know. Alibaba has just chronicled the history of many things wrong with it. Wonderful. But we're in a truly special space at this particular time. First of all, the whole world is facing a problem. So nobody is coming to our rescue. We have to fix this ourselves. Everybody knows what to do. Where do you begin? Everybody identifies there's a need for a map. But that map has to sit down on a legal framework. Without a legal framework, you cannot do anything. You cannot get investment. The rule of law fails. And I said earlier on, the legal framework is what allowed, for example, we didn't have MTN before. We didn't have GTB and Zenith Bank before. The legal framework put in place allowed that industry to grow. And there was a plan. So the first thing is that foundation. That legal framework needs to come out of the legislative through the presidency as a signed bill. Then Alibaba can invest in a tourism resort, and he knows, because of the fact that he's in tourism industry, these are the rules and regulations that govern that industry. Nothing is normal anymore in all the stakeholding aspects of tourism. Nothing. The airline, the road buses, the hotels, and everything requires investment to change, to become compliant, because what you're now going to be selling is safety. What you're not going to be selling is, oh, I'm confident that I can go into that hotel. I'm confident I can eat in that restaurant. I'm confident I can go through that airport into that country. The whole global package of we're selling Nigeria. Let's even leave that to one side. Let's start selling our unique experiences. I cannot buy one package. My principal home is Lagos. I cannot buy one package that takes me Lagos to Abuja, hotel for 5-7 days and back. One package. Airline and hotel, they don't exist. And Efetobo, we've had this conversation before in the past. Yes. The infrastructures must all change. The change of those infrastructures will cost money. Every stakeholder must reinvest to retool. Every airline must reinvest. HEPA filters, new seating arrangements. Oh, thank God, they don't have to serve us food anymore because nobody wants to eat on an airline. Now, the funding, tourism has a huge potential, but tourism doesn't like expensive money. Any funding that is into double digits, forget it. If you do your math, you are looking for trouble. So there has to be a special category where tourism stakeholders like all yourselves can access cheap funding. All the tourism assets, most of the tourism assets belong to private individuals, the state, the local government. How many of them have title? Even go and get the title of your asset and take that title to the bank and see what you can draw, even in the short or medium term, to be able to fund certain basic things. I was in Owu Falls. You know, you need a clean toilet. You need to feel like you're in a mall. You need GSM services, because once you don't get sick now, we start feeling insecure. You need a small bush bar where you can buy water, and you need a small souvenir. All of them are employment and revenue creating activities that need to be done by the owners of the assets. I can go and fund the repair of National Theatre. I don't have the budget. It's not my responsibility. I would like to put a restaurant on top of Zuma Rock. I'd like to put a restaurant in the middle of Nigeria. Have you been to the middle of Nigeria? The exact middle of Nigeria is here in Abuja. There's a metal block in the ground, and there's a transmission station and nothing. Imagine the selfie point that the Table Mountains in South Africa is. That is just here. There's a zoo in Abuja. How many animals are there? Yes, the opportunities exist. The owners have to fund them to reap the rewards back from their asset. Now, it's not all doom. We have a clean piece of paper to actually try and rewrite our tourism story. Development, it's a unique situation. This is the cheapest time for us to build Air Nigeria, because how many airlines globally have collapsed? How many aircraft are sitting down? How many pilots have been fired? This is the cheapest time for us to build Air Nigeria. It's an opportunity. Now, if we will look at this pandemic, the numbers that we have suffered by the special grace of God, that we have suffered in casualties in Nigeria is significantly lower compared to our population. And I will tell you pretty much how the structure of tourism is going to be in terms of coming out of COVID. Nobody wants to go far away because they can lock down again. So everybody may try Ghana, close by. The places that had the least number with death are the ones that are going to seem the most attractive to start with. If you don't invest in technology, whether it's selling tickets or your marketing, your and what I'm talking about in technology is because the entire tourism industry globally has this problem. So how do you market? It's changed. It's not brochures anymore. You've got to push the the digital marketing requirements today. Why do you just go and look at one website today and tomorrow you're trying to open your email and you find that product you went to look at is now following you around? You go to Instagram, it follows you. You go to Amazon, it follows you, because they know everything that you do on this digital platforms. Now that is digital marketing. It's not paper-based, it's electronic. Even the future of television adverts, etc. How many, I carry a phone, I don't carry a TV around every day, but I carry a phone, which is a TV in my pocket. And the amount of stuff that can be pushed through that It's one of the things that we've got to completely look at. And it's a zero contact environment we're just going into now. So you've got to be able to sell me a product without really talking to me physically, without me sitting down having a meeting with you. I don't want to take too much of, you know, the time here, but 2015, we said the future of tourism in Nigeria must start with the domestic agenda. We started the brand Tour Nigeria. We started Nigerian flavors. Tour Nigeria and experience the flavors of Nigeria. We're a country of 200 million people. Based on us just going around in our own country is bigger than the revenues some other countries that large countries have. The soft power of Nigeria, Don Jazzy, Wizkid, Burna Boy, their Instagram following alone is more than some states in Nigeria. So that is what we have to exploit. The new mediums of cultural expression are assets to us. Our film industry, our music industry, the comedy industry, all these things that we see in our WhatsApp, on Instagram, etc., are attractions to Nigeria that we must capitalize on. I mean, I just saw an advert that Naira Marley is coming to play in a drive-through concert in Abuja, I think next weekend. That's innovative. That's exploiting and selling to people what they want here and now. It's got to be changed. Nothing like normal exists anymore. And we must understand where we are. What are the resources of government to put certain things in place that we want now? No, the resources are not there. So we've just got to get up and do it. I mean, some of the countries that we have tourism, industries, don't have some of the infrastructure we have. But people still go there. Okay, I'm not saying go to Zambeza Forest and say you want to take a photograph with, one of the fellows in the bush there. But there's my Abuja weekend. Abuja is the cheapest weekend. Everybody leaves town. We've got to look inward, where Africa is truly free, because the whole world isn't really looking at what happens to us anymore. We have to fund it. We have to do it. I don't want to pawn this, but this is a time that we need to look at what we can do for ourselves, not what this country can do for us. And that is a reality. Alibaba, you mentioned quite a few things about funding, the structure of funding, the structure of taxes. Yes, taxes are high. Funding from one region goes to the other, it crosses. Those are the realities we live in. But are you going to live your livelihood? Are you going to leave your incomes and say, no? No. What happened in Ghana last year, the year of the return? What was it driven by? It was driven by Nigerian assets periodically, primarily.
Yes.
The music. If those 3 or 4 or 5 artists who played that event didn't play it, what would it be? Now, have we not been doing it in Nigeria? Did we use it to attract diaspora back? What is the first thing diaspora will tell you? They cannot get a visa. Okay, now you can get a visa at the airport. What is the next thing they'll tell you? Oh, is the airport COVID compliant? So we have to open the new COVID compliant airports, which the government, I think we have some new airports that they are funding. Nigeria is your cheapest holiday. No visa, no roaming of phone, no foreign exchange. We've got to look inwards. And the beauty of it now is that the barriers to entry, to go to America, to go to England, now they say they want to keep you in quarantine for 2 weeks. In that 2 weeks that they keep you in quarantine, they're going to tag you. If they tag you to your phone. If you move, they find you £1,000. That's 520,000 naira. If you're going to stay in a hotel, stay in that hotel for 2 weeks before you can now go and do what you came to do. Why don't you stay here? Nigeria's foreign reserves has grown to $37-point-something billion, an increase of almost 3 billion in the month of March. Where was all that money going before? Emirates will take their own. British Airways will take their own. Even Nigerians just traveling abroad and spending cash. Now the rest of the world has raised barriers to entry and say, everybody maintain, stay in your own locality. So what we need to do is consume more Nigeria, consume more Alibaba, consume more whiskey, consume more what does not have a foreign component until we build a solid platform, a solid foundation of a domestic industry. What is the international tourism? Now, just connecting an international ticket from London to Lagos, from London to Abuja. That is it. What do you go to Dubai to consume? What do you go to Dubai for? Dubai has a solid domestic industry, and you just buy a ticket and go and enjoy their food, their drink, their camels, their desert, their quad bikes, but it's all there. But how did it get there? It wasn't that government started just buying and giving these things to people. It wasn't that government created an enabling environment for private individuals, like all of you here, to invest in your own destinies, in your own industry. Now, unfortunately, we have now been forced against a wall, and that is the reality we must face. Not to take any much more time, but I pushed something up on the chat. We've got to change the laws, because even Dubai are changing their laws to exploit us. So for us to work hard in Nigeria, change our naira to dollar, and carry that dollar to South Africa to Dubai, they are changing their laws. We must change our laws. We must look at the training that people in the tourism industry require, and we must ensure that they're given, especially now that everything is going digital and touchless. We must look at the critical infrastructure for tourism itself, the tourism satellite account, the airport procedures, the visa procedures. We must look at it critically and change it. These are simple things that exist that it's just to change, which is our responsibility, government. And as I said, your events, the marketing of Nigerian tourism is not paper, it's digital, it's collaborative. Come, I have an event center now, and it's quiet, nobody's doing any weddings. Okay, can we have a COVID compliant hair exhibition, makeup exhibition, actually partner with somebody to create an event rather than waiting for somebody to come? Those days are gone. And whatever we do now, in our lifetime, I think everybody here is pretty much an adult. So in our lifetime, in our active lifetime, whatever we do now, whatever decisions we take now, this is our last chance. This is that chance to get it right and get change that is not dependent on the fortunes of anybody else. Our own change. Get it right. Alibaba, you said the music industry was built without government support. The film industry was built without government support. Yes, it's a bit more difficult in this because the physical things that are required in tourism are exploiting all those things. But there is a need for a galvanized effort to start somewhere. And if we look at those 4 points, they're all Abuja based. So I would say to the chairman or president of NANTA, EFTAN, my dear friend in Ekiti, yes, we need to sit down and talk. Yes, it's just not about this web seminars, etc. There is a need for us to. I work for a federal government agency. I'm a collaboration marketer. Whatever is brought up, we look at it. Does the ministry feel good about it? And then we move forward with it. And that is the situation right now. But together, yes, we can push the buttons. I have spent 3 years trying to change a 40-year-old law. Do you know what a 40-year-old car looks like? Well, that's what you're driving in. 3 years pushing, and we are still on it. And we're hoping now that this COVID will bring the pressure on that will make the change happen quicker. As they're changing the airports, they're changing the laws. They have to change the laws. If they don't change the laws, how do you have the confidence to go and borrow to invest in your own business? The person that said that they tried to bring tourists into Nigeria and the hotels were $300, while in their own country, in Trinidad, it was much cheaper. Well, their own country, in Trinidad, they don't pay what we pay for electricity. They don't process water. They don't have security guards, the level that we have to put them at. So it's the basic infrastructure cost that feeds into the final cost of a hotel room in Nigeria. And it's unfortunate, but if you look at the devaluation of, they're coming in with $1. If you look at the devaluation of the Nigerian currency at 420, 450 naira to $1, There are other things that are cheaper for you if they're bringing in their dollars. So we need to market our positives and not let them just run away with the negatives that they feel from us. The image of Nigeria, you know, we have to be careful what we post. We don't own the Google, we don't own the CNN. So whatever we throw and they pick up, they will help us applause and echo it. So we are our own enemies. We are the ones demarketing Nigeria. We've got to look at the development of Nigeria as a priority. And I don't know if there's any member of the press here, development journalism. You have to think before you write it, before you post it. If 12 people die in Sokoto from Lassa fever, you don't take a headline that says Lassa fever appears in Nigeria again. Come on, you just demarketed Nigeria for somebody you don't even know from Russia or wherever it is. Ekiti, I'm rather disappointed that you did not talk about the pounded yam and the culinary delights of Ekiti State. If you go to Ekiti and you don't eat their pounded yam, DG, please, next time, raise that as an issue. Finally, before I have to go to another one of these things, one of these webinars, I must say this. It's time for us to stop, honestly, looking at this fatherland, looking at this great nation of ours, and all we ever have to say about it is something negative. I'm a Yoruba man. This is my fatherland. I don't abuse my father. And if I keep abusing my father, how do I ever expect him to be anything that I want? You know, the word of the voice is powerful. The word is powerful. We know it's not good. It's not where we want it. But abusing it, is it getting us there? I think it is time for us, and I will attend as many of these webinars, maybe not as large as this one, and let us fashion out ways that little steps can be taken. I have sat down with Alibaba with a piece of paper between us maybe 10 years ago and fashioned out bits and ideas that were executed. And we know that it's the little steps. It's the little steps. Don't run. Get up and stand. Take some baby steps. Then walk. Then run. Then jog. Then run. To go from zero. We want this now. No. It's not going to happen. And this government has not got the funding to do it. Let's look at the bits we have and try and couple them together and do the best we can do with it. It's the only way. If anybody says there's another way or there's an alternative, show me. Show me. Dubai was going to do Dubai 2020 this year. Do you know how much? They built a new airport. They built literally a city. Everybody is bleeding. There's no football. There's no tennis. There's no cricket. There's no rugby. Zip. Do you know how many airlines have shut down? Do you know how many airlines have laid off staff completely? I think if we're going to do something special, I think it's for the people who are at the head of different assets, tourism assets, to look at what they have and look at the minimum they can do to it to start to market it for people to start to consume it locally. Our growth, the growth of our tourism right now isn't about the internationals. It is about Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kano, Sokoto, Calabar. It is about those sort of movements. Somebody mentioned the hotel in Uyo. Yes, I've been there as well. The food is fantastic. Has a golf course. Ibom Air, Ibom on time, that's what I call them. They have 4 new aircraft. The aircrafts have HEPA filters that filters 90-something% of the viruses or whatever out of it. Yes. Now, Ibom Air and that hotel, I think it's a Meridian in Uyo, they need to come up with a deal. They need to come up with a package so that I can fly from Abuja to Uyo and take a nice break and eat and relax and come back. That is what we need to be selling. It's not got the dollar sign on it. It's not as profitable as just selling an Emirates ticket or selling a British Airways ticket or selling hotel space. That's gone. The reality of it is that is gone. That you were saying is coming back in 2021. Okay, let me tell you where we are. This is the half of the year. So we did small business, or the economy was waking up first quarter. Second quarter, COVID hit. Third quarter, we're not doing any business. We're trying to build confidence back in the businesses. Maybe last quarter, we may see some activity. So we're now going to the next year. And you know how the beginning, first quarter is slow. Second quarter, we're hopeful. So that's where our horizon and perspective needs to be. I thank you all very much for indulging me. I will stay online and in the chat section. I see there are quite a few comments to answer a few of the questions that I can. I put my email address there. Please send me an email. There's somebody who does digital applications. Please, let's talk. Alibaba, it's been a long time. It'll be good to see you again. And if there's anybody who is here, my president at EFTAN, NANTA, thank you for having me here. I yield to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We truly appreciate taking up time to be with us. And we can assure you that we will continue to engage you to see how we can push all of these things that we have just said. In short, you have said that we have another chance to start on a clean slate, and we must take advantage of technology and all of our assets, including our creative assets like the superstars who can make things happen. And then we need to be careful about the kind of things we put out in social media and start to create our own narratives, even as individuals, even as members of or stakeholders in the creative sector, because of course we don't control what's out there. And we must stop abusing our fatherland. At this point, I'd like to call for the president of EFTAN. I can see hands of Mrs. Ogumbi, Abiola Ogumbi. Please, if you are there, kindly, I crave your indulgence for a few minutes. Let's listen to the president of EFTAN, the Federation of Tourism Associations of Nigeria, who has been with us for some time. Is Alhaji Saleh Rabo there? Hello, sir. I'm trying to. Okay, I think we may have lost him. Is Mr. Brian? Alhaji Saleh. Alhaji Rabo, if you are there, please try and unmute yourself. Okay. Alhaji Rabo, please try and unmute yourself. I'm trying from here, but I can't seem to.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can hear you, sir.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to really congratulate the organizers, Mr. Efe and Omololu, for the meeting. I think it has been very, very educative and provocative too. And I wish to use the opportunity also to appreciate the DG of NTDC, of NTDC, and then Alibaba. They've all spoken. I think everybody has spoken very well. The NANTA president, Hassan, everybody spoke very well. I think we have been speaking a lot. And what we need to do now is to do more of action instead of speaking. We all know that COVID-19 has changed the way tourism and all businesses are going to operate. Now, if we have accepted that fact, even from the expansion of DTDC, everything has changed. We need to do it differently. We have laws that have been existing, but unfortunately, even the old laws that have been existing, we've not been implementing them properly. And that's why we've been having challenges. Now there's another opportunity for us to upgrade these laws, to change these laws, to reflect the present situation we have found ourselves. And if we don't do that, we cannot be able to get it right. Now, EFTAN, as we all know, as a body that coordinates the activities of all the private sector. We have the hoteliers here, the travel agents, the tour operators, the entertainers who are the owners of the sites, the resort owners, the car hire, the aviation people. All of us are supposed to work in synergy. Now, we're talking about
Alhaji Rabo, we seem to be losing you. I don't know if you can put off your video. Perhaps it will help with the bandwidth. Hello? Okay, I think we have lost Alhaji Rabo. But I would like to thank you so very much for making our time to join this. And I can assure you that we will continue to engage with you. EFTAN is the umbrella body of Tourism Associations of Nigeria. And as such, the most important of all of the associations. So we need to start, just like you have said, we need to start to work. We must stop talking and start to work. Well, continue talking and start to work, I would like to say. So if we still have Mr. Brian, we have not spoken much about the hospitality angle. If Mr. Brian is still there, okay, I can't find him. Anyone who has a question would like to round up in the next few minutes. We have taken so much time. It's been engaging. Unfortunately, time is not on our side, and internet has also been the problem. I think what we'll do going forward is that the next one would try and better manage time. Maybe get one or two people, maybe handle two sectors instead of trying to take all the whole industry at once. Next time we'll try and take two sectors, try and see how we can get those two sectors to work together, and then subsequently get another two sectors and start to, just like all the speakers have said, it's important that we start to do something. We must not wait for government to put all of those structures in place. Let's start to make the noise that we can. Let's start like Nollywood, like comedy, and start to make the small changes that we can. I can see Alibaba raising his hand, so I'll quickly give you 2 minutes, sir, to say what you want to say. Anyone who wants to speak, kindly raise your hands now, please, so we can quickly take your comments.
Okay.
Yes,
all right. What I want to say is, like you said, is really quick. You see, the tourism sector needs a lot of drive from individuals as well. I sometimes ask the artists and all the people who are in the visual arts, and I ask, is it that we do not have anything that equals the creative artworks that were taken away, that we're now fighting for those artworks to come back? Because there's so many artworks here. How have we pushed them into the international scene? We're asking for Festac head. We're asking for the Benin bronze mask. We're asking for this one. We're asking for this one. Is it that we do not have, what are those other artworks that we have? What are the platforms that we're using to push them? How much of those local artworks do they know about? What I think we're doing is like saying, oh, we need you to return all the American basketballers. They are our own, or they took them during the slave trade. What have you done to push the narrative? As you're saying, we need to begin to change the narrative. We should not just begin to say, oh, because they took that from us, that's why. It is we're nearly getting to an entitlement position. Oh, if they brought some of all those things to us, is it not how we are treating the ones that we have here now, that we'll treat those ones? If those people did not push the ones they took away like that, will they have the relevance that they have now? Look at how people are. You see the Festac head, you are like, oh wow. You see the Benin bronze head, you are like, oh wow. You see terracotta art, you are going, oh wow. If they were here, would we remember them? Look at how we treat art. Go to the National Museum and see how bad some of these artworks that we have. What have we organized? We organize World Cups. We organize tournaments. We organize. What have we organized for arts? What have we organized for those kind of this international conferences, tourism conferences, conference tourism? I mean, is a big part of the world economy. How many of them have we done? I believe that we need to do a lot. We need to do a lot beyond government. We need to do a lot. That's why Foley mentioned, the DG mentioned that there's some of these things that we've achieved without government. There's some of them that we've achieved without government, and we can do a lot more in that direction. We should stop defending our situation. Anytime somebody says, "Oh, it looks like this is what is happening in Nigeria," we jump to the defense. Oh, it's fake news. They're lying. They are doing it. But it then happens to another person, and you ask the person, and they begin to defend. They begin to show you what they are doing to correct the impression, not just to defend the. What was that? Ah, now. Okay, help me. Thank you. All right. Okay, so. All right. No, I was driving into the essay. So please, it is that if we have to change the narrative, we need to buy into the new awareness. There's a lot that we need to do. Like our festivals now, we need to change the way we do our festivals. We need to get people to buy in. You organize a wrestling, traditional wrestling. Why is it not an international sport? Look at that. If you see where they are playing that, you'll be surprised at how many people are. The stadium is full. I said that.
Oh boy.
And my brother.
Interesting.
There's a lot. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, Mrs. Abiola Agumbi, please take the stage. One of the foremost operators in Nigeria, owner of SJ Tours. Please, let's listen to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much, Efe. Thank you, organizers. And Alibaba, I must thank you very quickly for ending with traditional sports, because I'm presently the chairman, Traditional Sports Association, Lagos State. And you are right, that's where the grassroots are. Now, a lot has been said, but I think we need to go back. I just want us to just think for like half a minute while I play out this scenario. And I'm sure to my colleagues, I'm speaking to the converted, but just in case there are one or two people that may not understand the process in which I'm going, and I like to tell everybody that all Nigerians are my cousins because I was Miss Thomas. So you have to see to believe. Imagine that you are inviting me tonight, and I'm throwing this open to everybody, including my dear brother in Ekiti. Congratulations, we haven't spoken, but we have spoken on our chat group. Supposing you are inviting me tonight to your place for dinner, and I get to your home, and the first thing you do is you march me straight to your bedroom into your wardrobe. Is that likely to be so? It's not likely. You are going to restrict my movement to exactly what the purpose is. Probably your dining area. If I'm friendly with your wife, maybe I could peep into the kitchen, and then of course, maybe the facilities and all. But I'm not certain that you're going to take me into your bedroom. So what am I saying? We've talked about collaboration, and that is very important. And that's one of the first things after, of course, the enabling, laws and, framework. We have to first determine what exactly it is we wish to sell. You cannot sell the whole country at once. We do not have the resources. We do not have the manpower. We do not have we simply don't. And it doesn't really make sense. Think again. We're talking about the United Kingdom. They have different places. I mean, there's Devon, there's Plymouth, there's the Glastonbury, but they talk about London. I don't think anybody has marketed the UK. It's London. Talk about France. They talk about Paris. See Paris and die. That is the gateway into the country. Another thing, we're all talking about the different aspects of this great industry of ours. Have we decided what we want to do with it? Are we using it initially, the medium, long term, and the immediate term? What are we using the industry tourism for? And when we decide on what we're using it for, where is the link between transportation, accommodation? That is the tour operator, NATOP. FTAN should get in bed with NATOP and streamline NATOP. Hassan has told you he's been in business for 25 years and he's been promoting domestic tourism. I know that. I have been in business for 21 years and I have been promoting domestic tourism. Efe has been in business for over 10 years. Not only has Efe been in business for over 10 years, but we are proud of Efe because he has created an enabling platform for us, the Nigerian Travel Week, from which we can all piggyback, which literally is talking about domestic tourism. Now, have we put the cart before the horse as far as Nigeria is concerned? Certainly, that's what we've done. Because if you look at all countries that we're talking about, is it France? And by the way, I have been traveling since I was 10. Next year, I pray by the grace of God, you will all be celebrating my 60th birthday with me. So I have been traveling for a long time, from age 10. Apart from that, my parents were diplomats. Fortunately, they were diplomats in Europe and they were diplomats in West Africa. We have seen developments. The UK started with Madame Tussauds when we were children. They didn't have much. They dealt with what they had. They dealt with what they had. They got the people buy-in. They promoted it to the people. Traditional sports, Alibaba, thank you very much. Low-hanging. Low-hanging because our people are already there. The people missing there are we the elites. Are we the elites? So I don't want to take much time because I can't. But what I'm trying to say on this platform, and especially Alibaba, because you head an organization right now, a committee that is looking at this sector. We have enough. What is missing is the people buy in. Think about a scenario now where we're talking civil servants travel. Can you imagine instead of palliatives which can't go around, what happens is that the government, state governments, certain state governments decide that, okay, any civil servant that staycation, as we call it, We will give them a little allowance for that. You can imagine the ripple effect of booting what is already on ground. Personally, SJ Tours has 19 tour packages. Very easy. Let me give you one and I'll close at that. The last that I put on the market, by the way, brings business to the creative industry. Simple, simple. And I take Nigerians, Lagosians on these tours. We take off, we have a sandwich, which is done by somebody in the food industry. They have sandwich and a fruit juice on the bus. I'm already talking about the agricultural sector there. We go and watch a movie. You already know what I'm talking about there. By the way, the statistic says that the Nigerians watch more foreign movies than local movies, than our own movie, Nollywood movies. We change that. We make sure that it's a Nollywood movie that we watch, so that we're putting that into the consciousness and letting people see it on the big screen, rather than just thinking that the experience is watching it on TV. After that, we go into the games arcade, because that is a place that has invested a lot of money. Twin Waters. And then we have lunch on the Pressed Ferry. And guess what we then do? There's a young man who's a dancer, an ex-inmate that I found. He comes in there to ensure that we dance. We're already impacting on that sector as well. Those are the skills that we tour operators know. We look holistically at the nation, and what we develop impacts the nation. If there's no tour operator on any committee that is talking about tourism, we have not started. We have not started. Fortunately, presently, I'm also the lead under the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. So colleagues that are interested, we have hope. Please let me know if you're interested in working with me. I'm the lead at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group on the Hospitality and Tourism Thematic Group. And we need input. We cannot do anything without you. I'm not going to sit down with one or two people and come out with a policy framework for Nigeria. It's not going to happen. We are all going to work on it together. So the earlier you want it ready, please reach out to me. Thank you very much. Ekiti, I'm on my way, even if I have to marry an Ekiti man. All right then, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ma. That was great to hear you. So you have heard it. You need to make inputs for the NESG. I'm sure you know how important and how strategic that could be for us. So we have gone 45 minutes. I'm surprised that we still have so much people here. Thank you so much. We're going to round up in the next few minutes. Let's quickly ask those who have raised their hands to quickly say something. Please be very, very brief, 30 seconds each, so we can listen to everyone and we can round up for today. But I assure you that we will look for a creative way of getting the next meeting to be a continuum from where we are today, so that we are sure that we're getting ahead. So I'll be calling on SOA Vibes. I'm sure that's Mr. Sahid Adile. 30 seconds, please. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Efe, and congratulations to you and the team. I'm actually, listening from the States, and I'm extremely happy and impressed with the robust panelists that you have. What I want to really challenge you guys is to actually pick, a startup project and let everyone who signed in onto this platform and the panelists all actually hold themselves accountable to ensuring that project kickstarts. Now, in terms of Nigeria's image and all, the diaspora community remains the easy, soft landing for us to be able to redeem our image. Now, I'm a part of NIDO, and there's a young, vibrant, leadership team presently brewing up within NIDO. I would like to see how we can partner with you guys to leverage the lack of infrastructure, especially in information technology back in Nigeria, where we can rely on the diaspora and young professionals to manage your infrastructure, data capturing, hosting, and the rest of it all. Because until we really grow our digital space infrastructure-wise, we cannot do much, but we can rely on this diaspora and young networks within these countries that already have it, while they actually help to manage the back end, and you guys, execute the front end on inclusiveness. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sahid. So Sahid has been a very strong supporter of Nigeria Travel Week, even from the United States, and we'll continue to say thank you so much. So basically, he has mentioned that NIDO is interested in partnering with Nigeria in terms of building our IT infrastructure and digital infrastructure. And of course, the world is going digital, so we need IT to be able to, or technology to be able to drive our tourism. We'll be listening now to Chima Ezeokoye, and then Buki Enuha, and finally Oluwafisayo Olayinka Bello. And if Mr. Brian is back, we'll take final comments from him before we close. So please, Chima, 30 seconds or less.
Yes, hello, good evening. Hello, can you hear me? Good evening.
We can hear you, Chima.
Okay, great. I'm Chima from We Move Technologies Limited, right? Our core focus is on building software solutions around the tourism industry, right? Luckily, we've been able to interact with a large number of the tour operators primarily on a one-on-one basis to figure out what their challenges are, and then we try to build out that solution as technology products. But my question now and my contribution is this, right? How open are the platforms and parastatals that are available at the moment to not just leverage technology, but to leverage homegrown technology? Knowing fully well, especially that a lot of the software tools that are built outside of Nigeria are built for their own region, and working with someone who's in-house basically allows you to fine-tune it to service your own, or rather our own primary concerns. How open are we to work with that? And if there are agencies or associations that are open, and I think I've gone around to send messages to people, right? If there are agencies that are available for that, I'm open to have that conversation even ahead of or beyond this particular platform. If there's anybody who would highlight on what's available for technology in the industry, I would be happy to hear it. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chima. So he's saying he's very keen to see how he can work with different sectors, and especially institutions, to see how they can leverage on their solutions. I know We Move Technologies is one of those IT startups that has been doing quite a lot with tourism, domestic tourism recently. So quickly, Buki and Nuha, 30 seconds or less.
Hello, my name is Buki Enoa. I'm calling from South Africa. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Like I said, my name is Buki Enoa. I'm calling in from South Africa. I'm the CEO of MGF Travels and Tours. My own contribution, I would just go in line with Mrs. Ogumbi. Like we normally say, I've discussed with her on several occasions. When you talk about Uganda, there is nothing they are selling other than sun. And I feel that in Nigeria, we have a whole lot to offer. We need to market our positives. And I know a lot of instances when you speak with the tour industry in Nigeria, they will tell you, oh, we don't have that road, we don't have electricity, we don't have this. But in my own experience of bringing tourists to Nigeria, we are one of the few companies here that we do process visas to South Africans, especially the synagogue church. I've also talked about the religious tourism. On a monthly basis, we do close to 1,000 in most cases when there is a need to travel. So most important thing, these tourists are not interested in our roads. Yes, we need to have them, but most importantly, they are interested in our hearts. The way they just want to experience Nigerian style, our food, our comedy. So my contribution is just if we can look at collaboration. If the comedy industry can collaborate with the Nollywood industry, and we begin to formulate something like Cultural Week, where we could start with some pilot state. We could say for the year 2021, we want to use Lagos State as a pilot state, that every other state will come in to support Lagos State. So you bring in your stuff from other states to support. The following year, we could go to Ekiti. So that is Nigerians knowing Nigeria. A whole lot of Nigerians don't even know our own state. So this is my own contribution to say we should look at more at marketing our positives. It's not easy, but it's somewhere. Like the Nollywood started from somewhere. Like Alibaba said, the comedy industry started from somewhere. So it's important for us to begin to develop our positives. So that's my own, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that I let you speak. Yeah, that's statistics about the 1,000 coming in for, and yes, of course, we see that, because when you go to the airports in the evenings, and then you see those who are returning on South African Airways and those airlines going back to Southern Africa, coming from synagogue, it's massive. I know that I've gotten a few requests in the past, but what I will also say is, please, tour operators are willing and ready to partner with you. Let us take this forward. Please try to reach out to me on social media. I'm happy to link you up with a few tour operators. I mean, there are a number of them on this meeting platform already. There's Mrs. Abiola Agumbi of SJ Tours. I saw Michael Balogun of Tour to Nigeria. I mean, there are lots of them. I would just say, please let us keep that channel open and let us see how we can get those people coming in for religious tourism to spend 1 or 2 extra days to experience Nigeria. So yes, after their religious activities, why not do a city tour of Lagos? Why not maybe go to Abeokuta and enjoy the attractions around, or go to Badagry? We'll be willing and happy to partner with you, and we'll see how we can take this forward. Thank you so much. Let us go now back to Mr. Brian Effa, the GM of Ibom Hotel and Golf Resorts, and we'll be taking our final comments because of time. But please and please, this will be a continuous engagement. We will try as much as possible to see how we can get it from just talking to action. Continue to follow us and engage with us on our social media platforms at Nigeria Travel Week on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can always reach me on 080-7676-7671. 76767671. So 7776 and 71. And let's look for ways that we can engage. Very shortly, we'll announce when we're going to have the next engagement, and then we'll make sure that we're doing 2 sectors. So maybe transport and what's it called? Accommodation, for example, or any other 2 sectors. So we're going to Mr. Brian now. Mr. Brian Effa, are you there, sir?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much, my brother. You've muted me all the while, so I couldn't really contribute.
I'm so sorry.
All this while. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's going to be a very trying time for the hotel business, basically because we are going to be investing so much on hygiene. There's going to be an introduction of hygiene packages for all the guests. And then we'll need to rewrite our operational procedure for check-in, for F&B, and of course for room cleaning. And then we also need to invest more on have to decide what exactly are we going to do. Are we going to have an open restaurant, or we are going to do mainly room services? So these are the kind of decisions that we have to make at this point. But by and large, is going to be very trying because, like the DG said, what will we be selling is hygiene. It's hygiene, that's what we'll be selling. And you have to then, decontaminate the room more often than you used to do fumigation and all of that. So these are going to be bringing up new way of operations, and which the trainers in the industry needs to come up with training modules for housekeeping, for check-in, for F&B, for food services and production and all of that. So for the tourism industry, finally, I think infrastructure still remains our major problem. And I think that infrastructure can only be provided by the government, and they need to do that. Once the infrastructures are there, for instance, if I land in Lagos, how many hours does it take me to go to Ekiti? Would determine, and how safe the road is, would determine whether I would like to go to Ekiti once I arrive at Lagos. I would like to remain in Lagos. So there are a lot of factors that do affect our domestic tourism and which we need to fix. So once again, thank you very much. And I'm hoping that you will give me the opportunity next time to really do justice to the points I was supposed to raise for hotel businesses. I said, thank you. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was having a hard time on muting myself. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Brian, and we truly appreciate your time. And just like you have said, we will definitely bring you back. What we are going to do, seeing from how this has gone, we're going to get two sectors to speak to each other and then take it like that until we're able to get all 5 sectors to get going. So yes, we're going to be having you back. Now we'll be rounding up. I want to see if Mr. Omololu is there. He's been the co-host, and thankfully he has been helping to coordinate the chat section. Mr. Omololu, are you there to give us final remarks before we close? And Mr. Omololu, please try and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
I think it has been a wonderful session, and I want to use this opportunity to appreciate the panelists, starting from Mr. Bram Pfeffer, GG Ekiti State Council for Arts and Culture, Ambassador Wale, Ojo-Lanre, likewise Mr. Zakari, and at the same time, the NANTA President, Mrs. Akporiaye. It's been a wonderful time. It really dealt with the topic, and I want to appreciate for their contributions. As Mr. Efe access, this is going to be a continuous program, and we hope by the next edition, we're going to see how the time will be well managed. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone. We are now going to unmute everyone just to say hello and hi. This has been very strange times for us.
At least maybe like a thank you, bitch.
So we will announce on our social media platforms the next dates. Thank you so much. And Odabo. Bye-bye. Thank you. Say hi to one another. We will see you again. We will make money from tourism. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been so powerful. Thank you. Very insightful.
Thank you to all our panelists. It's been so enriching. Mr. Hassan, Zakari, Alibaba, Mr. Brian Efa. Mr. Wale, say something. Okay, so it's free house now. We're officially closed. Please.
I want all of you to come and visit Ekiti.
Are you finished?
Ekiti, definitely. That's what you gave me the last time. I'm coming for I'm coming for part 2.
Which party? Just get back.
I'm seeing Port Harcourt Pleasure Park in the house. Thank you so much. Macmore, Monthly Travels. Monthly Travels, you need to get business from South Africa. You hear what's happening. So what religious tourism is there in Abuja? Or maybe when we enjoy our part, we'll send some people to you in Abuja. Thank you so much. Former president of SCAL International has been here. Yes, the president of SCAL was also here. Is he still around? Okay, officially, thank you. Thank you. We're rounding off now. Thank you for 3 hours of your time on a Saturday like this. We'll post transcripts from this event, and we'll post updates on social media. So thank you very much, and God bless you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.